Yeah, but I wanted to cut the Ashiok's for like the first Collective Brutality for burn and like maybe two. Because like one of our losses was the burn yesterday, and like we already have sideboard cards for Titan without Ashiok, and I think burn is probably popular enough to want like at least the first copy. I think we could just go ahead and run two for the first league here and kind of see how it feels. But like, I think just like I'd rather hedge a little bit more for burn than Titan. So I do want to play one more league with Rakdos. I thought about starting with it today, but we only played one league yesterday. We 5-0'd with it. Dude, so much Murktide today. It's crazy. You have to take the counter spell. Although, I guess I have second thoughts here, so I'm probably taking Shredder counterspell no matter what. Yeah, Golos can play Profane Tutor with its ability, part of the synergy of the mono black decks. March of Retsusor. I think you just want to play Collective Brutality. You can also bring it in against like really weird decks like Ad Nauseam, but and like Infect. Not much of an argument though. Okay, we're gonna bring the standing desk down. Everybody relax. It's all under control. We were shredding the Murktide players yesterday with this deck. I think the combination of like the main deck Terminates, the main deck Liliana is Liliana is really, really good against Murktide. XL Spell Pierce, so thankfully not getting a 2-for-1 off the iteration. Always love to see that. And then they discarded the known Lightning Bolt. Ooh, another Lily. Love that. How do you be Titan without Ashiok? Seems like you don't have many cards for it. It may seem like that, but we actually have a lot of cards in the main deck that are pretty good against them. Voidwalker is secretly amazing against Titan. We have main deck Terminates, extra Terminate in the sideboard. Boyle is a card I like to bring in against Titan. Tourach is really good against Titan. Liliana is good against Titan. You bring in the one Chalice too against their Cascade decks. And I usually leave in the 2 pushes, cut the bolts, cut the third Inquisition, cut the Hearse, but it's a combination of all those things that makes me feel okay about the Titan matchup, and it's also like the Titan is not a very common. It's not a very common matchup at the moment. I think if it is super popular, you want to hedge for it more, but it's also not a matchup I'm super afraid of, even without the Ashioks. Liliana, the Queen of Modern. How is Voidwalker that good against Amon Titan? You play the Voidwalker, you discard their Titan, and you get to cast your own Titan. It's very good. Obviously, it's like somewhat higher variance, but I think you'll find that happens a decent amount of the time. Yeah, Voidwalker very good against the big mana decks. Another big argument for Rakdos is like I think this deck is way better against big mana than. I guess maybe that's not true anymore now that Jund has Boseiju, but it used to be like very much the case. Maybe it's closer now. So they don't have any instants or sorceries in the yard. Okay, just concede. Dude, we were like crushing yesterday with Rakdos. It's felt so good the last couple days. Hearse has been... I only playing one main, one side now, but I really like the first Hearse. They're a little redundant with the Voidwalkers, but in the DRC version, I do like 2 Hearses. So I've just been bringing in second Hearse, second Terminate, and cutting 2 Voidwalkers, I think. Everybody always wants me to bring in Boyle, but Boyle's kind of inconsistent in this matchup, where they have a lot of Spire Bluff Canals, and sometimes you're just behind on board and it doesn't do anything. How did I rev at the removal split? I mean, it's obviously like... The removal split is like... I don't have like a formula, but the idea is that you want 3 Terminates in the 75 to be able to combat Murktide. That's a kind of mandatory. You can do 3 main or 2 on one side. And then this deck is not very good at getting Delirium, especially not early. And so I think Unholy Heat is not one that you want to be playing, which leaves you with Lightning Bolt, Fatal Push. And then like that kind of comes down to against blue-white control, like what does your sideboard plan look like so you can make sure you remove all the Fatal Pushes. I've been liking Lightning Bolt a lot lately, and it's important that Push and Bolt both kill like Shredder on turn 2, which is important to have a density of that these days. I think you could play 3 Push, 2 Bolt, but you need to make sure that you're able to cut all your pushes post-board. Cutting Voidwalker versus a deck that wants Delirium. Yeah, they just have 8 1-mana red removal spells that line up really well against the 2-mana 3/2. But yeah, you leave in a couple copies. Is Terminate the bad Unholy Heat to kill Murktide? It's the good Unholy Heat because it kills Murktide. It also kills, you know... again, this deck's also like not very good at getting Delirium. Alright, okay hand. Kind of soft against the turn 1 Ragavan. Yeah, I would be cutting more Voidwalkers, but I don't have that many sideboard cards for the Murktide matchup. But that's also because, as you saw there, like the Murktide matchup is pretty good. So there must be a land light if they're going to consider in response to a Thoughtseize, and land light confirmed. I guess we'll just go ahead. We could take the Unholy Heat because we have the Voidwalker. I think I'll do that. It's kind of close between that and Shredder because they have the Shredder Bauble. But obviously we're kind of also hoping that they miss their land here. They do. Lucky us. Is Bolt better than Unholy Heat in Jund Saga? I was playing Bolt over Heat in Jund Saga. I was playing a similar split of removal. So Jund Saga is like way better at getting Delirium though than Rakdos is. That being said, it doesn't get Delirium till turn 3, turn 4 usually, and he you have to be able to kill Shredder on turn 2. Like you can't, like the fact that he doesn't kill Shredder on turn 2 is actually, like, in my opinion, a big loss for its stock in the format. Obviously still playable, still a good card, but I think Shredder has like pushed Bolt and pushes stock up a bunch. Alright, 6-0 with Rakdos over the last 2 days. Keepable hand on the blind on the draw. Kind of wish the Din was maybe different land or different card. Second Din. More Murktide? Dude, Murktide has been so popular today. This is like our 5th Murktide opponent. But, you know, I'll take the matchup. Take the matchup. And I'll take the Ledger Shredder too. What do you think is the best Murktide matchup? Omnath? Probably Omnath. Although, I mean, the real answer is, like, you know, it's the real answer for, like, best matchup against any deck is always, like, Obscure Aspiring Spike Brew, to be honest. But the real answer, I think, to best deck against Murktide is this, not this version. The General Rockrick deck. This deck is just, like, so cracked against it. You're a Chalice of the Void, Prismatic Ending, Solitude, Red and 6 deck, with also playing Teferi, Omnath, like, and they have a really hard time killing General Rockrick too. Like, this card's like unkillable against them. You have Endurance in the sideboard. Like, yeah, like this deck is like what I like to bust out when Cascade, Hammer Time, and Murktide are really popular. But this deck is also like terrible against the other 4-color Omnath deck. So I haven't played it in a while. If I went to win to GP, would a best deck be a good idea or high variance deck gambling right metagame? I mean, it's like, so these kind of questions come up a lot, right? Like, would you want to play a high variance deck, low variance deck? But the reality is every single deck building decision and every deck selection choice you make in Magic, to some degree, revolves on an axis of power level versus consistency. So many of your choices are, again, axis of power level versus consistency. And so when you talk about a high variance deck, if the power level is high enough and the consistency is not diminished enough, it's always going to be the case. And then, you know, that's also the case for best decks too. You just have to look at power level versus consistency. Bolts me. Thankfully, these channelers are pretty small. Domain Zoo with Kavu and Draco. I played against the deck yesterday. I've played it like a bunch too, but I don't usually love the deck. They keep a card on top. Let me just exile 2 instants here to play around Murktide a little bit. And then I think I'm going to play my own Tourach here. Kind of far away from kicking it. Kicking it's probably not going to be good that game. This good that game. Gets to use my mana too. How do you quantify power level? I mean, that's the hard question, right? Like, I don't know. It's tough to answer that question. So I can trade here or hold up Shinka for next turn. I think I'm gonna take the hit. You know what I mean? Like this is Magic the Gathering. It's not poker where you just have numbers for everything. It's, you know, that's the hard question to answer. Do you believe Modern's in a healthy place? I mean, relatively healthy. Healthy is, you know, I guess a relative term no matter what, but yeah, I also think it's fine. I think that it's not perfect, will never be perfect. I think that the 4-color Omnath deck is like generally like pretty bad gameplay, but that's fine. Okay, here I think I'm gonna play around them not top decking exactly Murktide this turn, so that I can try to, you know, not get hit by the channelers. Yeah, I would say Modern's pretty good right now. I would also say as bad as like people perceive the Murktide deck to be, there's a lot of counterplay to it, and you even have players like Canister. Canister's, I think, played more. Oh, no, damn it! Sorry, I meant to crew the Hearse. Now I'm taking 2 damage I shouldn't have taken. Although maybe I can blow them out with Sokenzan next turn. Sorry, monologuing. You have players like Canister who have played more 4-color than any other player there is, who's just kind of off the deck at the moment. Or at least that's what it's been reported. Yeah, people also complain about Murktide, but Murktide, I don't know. Murktide is, I think, not a problem at all. Why is Hela combo unplayed? It's kind of a combination of, like, you know, being pretty nerfed post MH2. Okay, this is really... we lose if they find Delirium, but I was thinking on the hedge against Murktide, it'd be hard for them to find Delirium. But if they had instant or sorcery here, I lose. Damn it. Fuck. Well, obviously I was, you know, kind of monologuing, but if I accrued the Hearse, we were going to be in better shape. We're dead here. Go to game 2. Yeah, but Heliod's like really bad to play on Magic Online. It's you know, it was I think Heliod was also a deck that was really simple to build pre MH2, and post MH2 it's gotten kind of complicated, and could play a Brutality over like I think I played more Voidwalkers or Brutality. But yeah, it's kind of a hard deck to build perfectly too. Like, I think it was very simple and easy to build before, and now it's like you probably want to play Esper Sentinel, you probably want to play some Solitudes, and like getting those numbers right is really, really hard. Is Heliod just a worse deck than Yawgmoth along the same axis? I mean, I would say just a worse is like definitely super hyperbolic, where like Heliod gets to play a lot of interesting, powerful white cards that Yawgmoth loses access to. Its curve is lower. Its combo does a different thing. Okay, so I think I play Voidwalker in turn 2 here. Kind of close. No, Eldorman's Call's been around. That was printed in MH1, and Heliod's been around since then. Why don't I ever play Yawg on stream? So I get these kind of questions a lot. Spike, there's a deck I like. Why don't you play it on stream? But my like stated goal on stream is to play decks that I'm interested in, and decks I'm trying to innovate on and change things up and, you know, attack the metagame. Blah 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 blah. But, you know, this stream is just not ever going to be Spike plays stock tier 1 deck on stream for the 1000th time. I guess I kind of punch for tapping this Graven Cairns here, huh? Guess I take the Shredder, play Hearse, take a hit from Ragavan. I would lose my mind from boredom and burnout if this stream was just I decided today we play this tier 1 deck. Just so boring. And also, like, you know, not some people like doing that, and that is what other people do on stream, and I kind of, you know, this is like what I've built my like entire streaming career on, is the idea that there's enough of that already on Twitch, right? There's enough of people already just, you know, today I am playing stock tier 1 deck on stream. Like, there's, you know, I don't think that the category needs more of that. Yeah, that's another good point about Heliod is that Skyclave became like worse positioned for sure. Deck for offbeat hero. Do I want to untap Ragavan? I kind of do to crew the Hearse. Yeah, this is good against the 2 Ragavans that we know are in their hand. Modern Uwu taxes. Okay, my first ever spoiler card was Lion Sash. I have a really, it's near and dear to my heart. I think Lion Sash kind of sucks the more and more I play with and against it, unfortunately. I also really dislike the reality chip when you play it and your plan is to just like, I'm going to get it with Stoneforge Mystic, then I'm going to put it into play for 2 mana, then I'm going to reconfigure for 3 mana, then I'll have a card advantage engine that's really easy to play around. I'm not a fan of playing it like this. I do really like Deputy of Detention. I think this is a card that like it actually has a lot of applications in Modern that are maybe not super obvious, but it is a card I like. Okay, my opponent's hand is just another Ragavan, so I should be able to hit them with my Ragavan this turn. I will also say this, like, I've never really been someone who has been able to wrap my head around Death and Taxes as an archetype. The archetype always looks to be really underpowered, and it always feels like at sorcery speed, you have to draw your lock pieces and have them time up well with your opponent's draw, and especially in your Yorion deck, you have like almost no ways to tutor, and you have almost no way to like enable that consistency, dude. I love to cast Murktide as this deck. So like this is something like I'm probably like not a good person to ask about taxes because I just kind of never really get it. That being said, Extraction Specialist is a interesting card. It's a cool card. I don't think Smuggler's Copter is playable in Modern. I love Voyager Staff, though. I've never seen this card, but it seems like a great Urza Saga target. If I were to give you a deck list, would I be able to update it in today's Modern meta? I can. It just kind of depends. Like, I'm not, a super computer, but I can give you insight with my, like, knowledge and experience, and I can give you ways to update it. I can give you things to do, things not to do, but it's tough for me to just, crunch the numbers and give you a perfect tech immediately. Yeah, I've never seen this card. I don't know, like, it's very narrow, but like tutorable Flicker with Urza Saga. I don't know how that wasn't on my radar. I think I should play Ragavan here. It's definitely close. But I have Hearse to make the Channeler worse, and I don't want to use the push and have my opponent play Shredder. Although I guess I could terminate the Shredder, but then I don't have Terminate for Murktide. Yeah, so that's cool. I also think you probably have to play Lean and Arbiter. I know it makes your mana worse, and it's bad with Saga, it's bad with Stoneforge Mystic, but you also have control over it, and I just always feel like Lean and Arbiter is like the card that like lets you actually like even do anything in this deck, to be honest. But yeah, I don't like the Lion Sash, I don't like the Reality Chip. I would be playing 1 Batter Skull, 1 Cauldron, 1 Sword of Fire Ice, and then also the Shadow Spear from the Saga plan. But that would be my removal suite. So Voidwalker does usually get a little bit worse the longer you hold it. They already used a removal spell. I think I'll go ahead and play a Voidwalker. Don't like Smuggler's Copter. I think I'd be cutting like these cards for 4 Lean and Arbiters. I would probably be playing like the 4th March or the 4th Ending. I do usually like those cards a lot. I like the Forge Tenders. You can consider playing Ranger Captain too. Ranger Captain's really strong. It's always a card I've liked in this archetype. You could probably main deck. I would probably main deck the Needle too. Now that I'm thinking about it, main deck a Relic. Yeah, main deck a Relic seems good too. So yeah, maybe that over like this 7th removal spell slash Reality Chip Lion Sash. May channel this game, so I guess I'll fetch up my Swamp. Lead on the push. If they have a counter spell and they counter the Hearse, then they don't get the Surveil. And if they counter this, then we get to resolve the Hearse. My Lukewarm take is Arbiter feels good because it hits most decks, while Tax is part of the deck, really only hates on non-creatures. I don't know. I mean, again, I'm not the best person to talk to about the Taxes archetype. It's never, I've just always had like a really hard time understanding it. Okay, so they've got 1 card in their hands. I have 3, so I'm feeling a little ahead here, huh? Always great to have like just to have an answer for Murktide. Okay, that's a catch up. Do we like more of Dauthi's in the matchup? Oh, as you saw this game, it dies for 1 mana most of the time, which is not a good exchange. Guess we're channeling Takenuma. You usually have to save Terminate for Murktide in spots like this. It's because I'm cold on Tax why I think my input is unique and helpful to our deck. I think that's fair. Obviously, I've got some opinions, but there's also, better, people who like the deck and like Spider Space and Pleasant Kenobi. You can talk to you more about it. What a hands. One card in their hand. I think I am going to play this Sokenzan, and I think I'm going to also upkeep kill the Shredder. Do this so they can't connive. Hope their last card is bad. And maybe next turn I can go Voidwalker, Shredder, cast Terminate, connive. Blue Door, thank you for the 9 months. Thank you. My next big paper event I plan to go to. I'm going to be playing some of like the local qualifiers for DreamHack. So they kept a card on top that was not a removal spell for Voidwalker or a counter spell, so it's got to be a creature, which is or a Lightning Bolt, I guess, kills me. Yeah, okay. GG. I did make a mistake game 1, maybe cost me the match, but our win streak with Rectus comes to an end. Hopefully we play against non-Murktide. It's a lot of Murktide today. Voidwalker Thoughtseize is kind of interesting. I think I'm going to keep this, go Din, Cairns, Voidwalker, and try to Voidwalker Thoughtseize my opponent for some value. Hope it's like that kind of matchup. I mean, this is also like the problem with I think I would play 4 Dark Confidant too over like the March of Wretched Sorrows. 24 lands is also like a little too many. Dude, this is the 3rd Murktide opponent in a row. It's starting to get kind of old. This hand is definitely not good against Murktide too, and we drew a land. Wait, there's no Inquisitions? Yeah, you should play 3 Inquisitions. I don't know. I just kind of feel like a lot of times people will take lists like this, and they'll have a good idea, which is that Mono Black has an awesome mana base full of tons of value. And then they'll be like, this is an excuse for me to play cards that are just bad, like main deck Brutality, main deck Murderous Rider, when there are other good cards you could play, like Inquisition of Kozilek in your mono black deck. Which you're another land, probably going to just, lose game 1, huh? Break the Ice is interesting. I don't know that there's actually enough Tron to like really justify it, but I don't know. Yeah, like why are the Inquisitions in the sideboard? Just doesn't make any sense. Should play an Urborg over like Swamp number 9. Oh, this is another thing too. Like Hayashi loves to play Fatal Push and no fetch lands, but you should play like 5 or 6 fetch lands to make your Fatal Pushes have revolts. Just doesn't cost you very much. So again, just a lot of like loose slots here, but yeah, I play a Cling to Dusk. That's a great suggestion too. Dude, we kept like a... Oh, maybe I should have mulliganed, but... I shouldn't have been punished this hard. Draw literally only lands. And play against Murktide third time in a row. Wooden Puddle, 15 months, thank you. Was Dark Confidant ever a consideration for Rakdos? It was a consideration, but it's like not as good as Voidwalker, Tourach, Kroxa. Where's Obliterator? Obliterator is like super uncastable in that deck. Well, I'm glad this was a 2-for-1. Yeah, Obliterator is like impossible to cast in that deck, right? Oh, Thoughtseize me. they play. There's 6 colorless lands there. No Urborg. Literally all lands. Thank you again, Wooden Puddle. Okay, well, we're getting pretty used to sideboarding in this matchup, huh? I still like in the sideboard plan. Just win games 2-3. I think you have to keep this as well. Does Boil come in against any non-control decks? I have Boil in the sideboard for blue, white, 4-color, and Titan. You can bring it against Murktide. I think it's very close. I like to not bring it in because it doesn't help you catch up when you're behind on board, which is very important. I think I take the Jace. They do, like, your opponent can also just have a double Spire Bluff Canal draw and not care about your Boil, and I think that's a somewhat common thing to have happen too. I think I'm gonna play the Voidwalker this turn. I like that I can cast the Inquisition next turn. I can potentially even go Fatal Push, kill Shredder. Okay, I guess I won't be able to trigger Connive, but I maybe cast my own Shredder off Voidwalker. Yeah, so let's Fatal Push the bird before they get to Connive. Although letting them Connive maybe connives them into something I can hit with Inquisition. Although it looks like that is not going to be a choke point at all for us. Let's cast an Expressive Iteration. Holding up the bolt for the Shredder. Pretty obvious I have the bolts. Maybe I could have played it tapped, but I don't mind. I don't mind this. Okay, so they're holding up a spell so that they can trigger Connive, counter the bolts, but I'll just untap. So they still have their iteration, but we're pretty far ahead. Obviously, if my opponent has like a Murktide this turn, they put a lot of pressure on us, but if they fail to find one of those, we're going to be okay. Next up, Flooded Strand, 3 cards in hand, all mystery cards, I think. I think I'm just passing with Bolt Takenuma up. Don't mind playing this a little slower when I'm under no pressure. Actually, should have sided out this Lightning Bolt for a Boil, I think. Oh, love to mill over a Kroxa, that's great for me. I guess I'm now just pretty likely to go Escape Kroxa, Bolt. But no reason to rush on the Bolt when my opponent's... Well, I guess I could just main phase Bolt, actually. Because, like, I think my opponent probably wants to hold up Counterspell for Kroxa now. And so I don't want to let them connive. Yeah. And so now I have enough cards in my yard I could just escape Kroxa twice in a row, so I think I just escaped the Kroxa. And with no delirium considerations, it's just kind of fine to jam here. Probably through the 10 months, appreciate you. Yeah, this is fine. Really just lose to like top deck Murktide potentially, but we can even possibly beat that. Yeah, there's an answer to that. Yeah, I think we just jam the Kroxa again. If they have another counterspell, then, you know, we're really outgrinding them. Rabid Ocelot. Thank you for the 2 months. Good username. Impeccable username. Alright, 3 cards in their hand. Super ahead on cards. Oh, whoops. Play a Voidwalker. I guess I would play Liliana. It is really bad if they counter this and then play a Murktide, but they haven't had a Murktide. I need to pressure them. I need to trade cards. It's gonna be okay. Looks like they don't even have an answer. Discard a Bolts. They get onto 1 card in hands. They discard Otawara, so their last hand is not a land because they would keep Otawara over any land. It's an Unholy Heat for the Liliana. No cards. Big top deck. Mishra's Bauble. Good to have Seasoned Pyromancer here. Alright, Terminate basically means we can't lose. I don't know, I guess their draws could be literally Murktide, Counterspell, huh? I'm gonna cast the Terminate on the Shredder, then escape the Kroxa. They concede. Okay, going to game 3. I really hope we don't play against Murktide next round. Yeah, Tourach is kind of interesting against Shredder, huh? Yeah, milling over Kroxa with Takenuma was great there. I've been playing Red Black Red Click Geek. I not seem to beat 4 color. What's the sideboard playing with the matchup? I usually bring in the Boil and the 4th Tourach. And then I mess with a little bit more with the sideboard. Hold on. You're not favored in the matchup, but I do think you're better than like Jund is. And I think the matchup is close. But it is really tricky to play. You're definitely looking for like aggressive hands that impact the board faster than they can. Like you need to stay ahead on board really badly. This is the DRC list. Don't know why I can't see list. But I mean, you Boil and the Tourach are your best cards. I don't have a current domain list. I haven't played that deck in a long time, to be honest. I think I shouldn't play Tourach as a 2-1. I think you could consider it, but just get the 2-1 Tourach gets outclassed by so many of my opponent's creatures. I think it's probably not correct. Although it would have been okay into Shredder here. I'm gonna Seasoned Pyromancer this turn though. I think I discard Mire 2nd Seasoned Pyromancer, and I try to kick the Tourach next turn. Okay, don't hate the Kroxa. I would have liked to discard it to Seasoned Pyromancer, whatever. Exile Ragavan, and are they missing a land drop? So lucky for me for them to miss a land drop after Bauble consider iteration. And remember, Tourach is kind of nice against the Shredder, huh? Discard Hearse on Holy Heat. Happy to get them to discard the Hearse. And I've got the Kroxa, and I'm really hoping they don't have a Bolts for my Tourach. They can't kill it with Heat at the moment. But if the Tourach lives, it's going to get gigantic. They are tapping a red. This is maybe Heat and realizing they don't have Delirium. I guess they can get Delirium with the Connive, potentially. Also, Murktide this turn maybe is going to be tough to beat. Attacking before Conniving is interesting. And then passes. Really hoping they don't have Bolt. Awesome. So they do have double Murktide, which is less awesome. But I think what I can do is maybe go Kroxa, and then between the Ledger Shredder Connive and the Thoughtseize and the Kroxa, they may discard one of the Murktides, and I can try to Thoughtseize the other one. And if they counter the Thoughtseize, I have to be okay with that. Yes, they did discard a Murktide. And then the Kroxa makes Tourach a 7/6. They discard Polluted Delta, so their hand is Murktide, Archmage's Charm. So I Thoughtseize this, so they can counter the Thoughtseize to save their Murktide, which would be okay with me. About as good as the turns could go. Yeah, so this is going to be a 7/6. So it's Tourach is going to be able to trade with the Murktide next turn unless they play a land. But I can also, if I draw another spell to play, I can go Kroxa, next spell, make them trigger Connive to grow the Tourach. Or if they play a spell here, same thing. Down to 16. Lightning Bolt. Lightning Bolt. So they have to trade. I guess I should just escape the Kroxa. Sorry, I was thinking if they had a land in hand, they were dead though. But they have to trade here. They're at 4 life. We have a bolt. Kroxa in the yard. They're at 16. Should be good here. Let's see how they attack. Just the Ragavan. I should be okay just to bolt them and escape Kroxa. I guess they get hit exactly. Yeah, no, even Hearse doesn't do it. Yeah, nothing does it. Okay, 2-1. Played against 3 Murktide opponents this league. We played against it 6 times today. We've beaten it more than we lost to it, but I think, but we prefer some more variety. Let's keep this on the draw in the blind. Good hand against Murktide. Playing as Aetos. I regret to inform you what deck I am. No way. The 4th in a row. I really wish we didn't have a prediction going, but I've gone from begging the client to stop giving me Murktide opponents to really wishing we play against the actual 5 out of 5 Murktide league. It feels bad though because we maybe could have won game 1 of match 2 if I didn't like misclick and not crew my my Hearse. But if I had played how I intended, we maybe had set up well for the flawless sweep. I think I want to push there. It's kind of close between that and mana efficient Hearse. And this hand is really good against them too, I think. Can I explain why you only play 4 fetch lands in Reckless list? Yes, it's my opinion that if you want to support 3 Den of the Bugbears, 1 Sokenzan, 1 Shinka, like 5, and the Mountain, to which you have to play the Mountain, like 6 red Colas or red lands, you need to play. I think I'm gonna play Hearse as the counterspell beat spell. You need to play a lot of filter lands. Like I have 3 Graven Cairns and an Urborg to filter that red mana into black when you're playing Voidwalker Tourach. And when you're playing when you need like 6 fetchable targets, you have 6 fetchable targets, and you probably need to go up to like 7 fetchable targets, maybe 8 if you played like 6-7 fetch lands. But if you went up on fetchable targets, you have to go up on fetches. Like there's not really room to play all these utility lands and play more fetches. So like obviously like you would like more fetches in theory, but it's either you play more fetches, you're better against Blood Moon, you fill the yard a bit better, or you play less fetches and you have more powerful utility lands, 3 Den of the Bugbears, 1 Shinka, 1 Shizo, 1 Takenuma, 1 Sokenzan. And I think that this is better. This mana base is also less painful, so if Burn's popular, that's a consideration as well. yeah, it sounds like... Well, we do have 2 Terminate. Oh, 2 Terminate this side. Yeah, we need 4 Liliana, 4 Terminate, huh? Another land. I think we've drawn... No, we drew 1 push, but then everything else has been a land for this game. But we do get to Edict the Murktide. We have a Den of the Bugbear. We've got our Unlicensed Hearse. I think I'm just going to go to main phase. Get the creature, get the artifact out. 2 cards in opponent's hand. Is there a non-combo mid-range version of Asmo that's viable? No, it's not. That's the biggest issue with every single Asmo deck before, like the Time Sif one, and to a lesser extent the 8 Blast deck, is that everybody for like all of Asmo's history has built the deck to be too slow and to have like, you know, no interaction outside of an Asmo activation, which means that when you play these Asmo decks, you are so cold to your opponent, just ignoring your game plan, which plenty of decks were just able to like really easily ignore your game plan. So I think they could very easily have Lightning Bolt as the 1 mystery card. So I think I'm happy enough to pass with the ability to Crude into the Bugbear and then activate Hearse to eat the Ragavan, and they can't Lightning Bolt it or heat it. How about I trade the 8 Blast deck? I built it. It is good. It is fast too. I've been kind of messing around with some different versions too. How about Castle Locthwain? I don't think you have enough swamps to support Castle Locthwain, and you already have 7 utility lands, so it's kind of as good as Castle Locthwain is, and I have played it in the past. I think it's not where you want to be. And again, your swamp count's kind of low, but you could also like intertap sometimes. Is this lag? Okay, they're just conceding. Concession lag. Okay, the only 2 sideboard cards in our sideboard are Terminate and Unlicensed Hearse. Yeah, I could pull up the 8 Blast list, because we probably have a little bit of time. Again, my deck lists are all in disarray, but I'm hoping to have them organized soon. And again, every time you get the All Access token, for whatever reason, it breaks my deck list up into 2. Yeah, this is, sorry, I kind of butchered the list, but the list used to play Gyapur Aether Grid and Academy Manufactor and trying to make a bunch of artifacts and ping with Grid. And I was just trying like a slightly different version that's playing like Lightning Bolt and DRC and Shrapnel Blast, Galvanic Blast. The problem, of course, is Oval Chase Daredevil is awkward with Experimental Synthesizer, which is a card I really like in the shell, but doesn't play well with Oval Chase Daredevil, and I was trying just playing 2, but this version didn't feel very good. I'm still trying to like mess around with it some though. I only played like I think 1 match of that deck though. yeah, the deck's kind of, that list may be soft to a Chalice in 1. Although you do have Urza Saga. Okay, on the draw against a turn 1 Ragavan with no answer to it is usually not very good. Although, it is true, you can just take some freaking hits from the Ragavan, though. Why is there a Pithing Needle behind the sideboard without Urza Saga? You're never going to draw it? Well, I might draw it. I'm hoping to draw it. But the Needle in the sideboard is for every single... Like, you could say that about any sideboard card, right? Oh, you have no way to tutor your Chalice of the Void. You have no way to tutor your Boil. What's the point? I'm hoping to draw it. And the idea is that I like the Needle against every single Rin and 6 deck, and I also like to bring in Needle against Yawgmoth and Tron. But it's mostly there for every Rin and 6 deck. I like to more consistency. Well, one thing about Needle, I guess at least when you have the idea of winning it against Rin and 6 decks, is that Needle is... hold on. I know they have Unholy Heat. I think I'm going to play my Channeler this turn. Needle has diminishing returns, especially against like 4-color Omnath and Jund Saga. Like, you only want to draw 1 Needle usually in those matchups, and like having bad top decks there can also be like pretty bad too. Which is, again, why I'm just playing 1. Obviously, like 2 against Yawgmoth is really good, but, you know, the problem is the diminishing returns. Yawgmoth is also a good matchup, too, I think. Or at least okay. But also, you are free to add a second Pithing Needle, and then you'll actually draw it. Or the needle targets in Yawgmoth. Yawgmoth is the big one. Yawgmoth is the big one. But you're also going to want to needle grist a decent amount of the time. But yeah, the big one's Yawgmoth. So I know that they have Unholy Heats. Guess I'm just blocking here. Yeah, no worries, Raptor. Yeah, but that is definitely a deck where you would want to max out on needles, but still not super popular despite being really good. Although Yawgmoth was actually like one of the most popular decks at DreamHack Dallas, which was like, who could have ever predicted that? Alright, try to keep them off of potential Murktide. Yeah, Ragavan's terrible. Jamming Tourach here seems okay. When we saw their hand a couple turns ago, it didn't contain a counterspell. It does obviously feel like they're pretty likely to have one. Tourach also gets worse the longer you wait to cast it. And sometimes it just resolves. They did have a Murktide. I guess I wait on the Hearse. I don't really care if they play a 3/3 Murktide because I have bolts. And then also if they have Lightning Bolt for Tourach, I'm going to want to crew the Hearse so they can't hit me with a Ragavan. Kind of small, narrow though. Aether Vial in 2021. Dude, we had a deck tech that was very, very similar to this, although it was an 80 card version, not a 60 card version. King Eric, 6 months, appreciate ya. I think this turn I'm just going to grow this exiling 2 cards in my yard. Obviously, awkward that I have Kroxa in the deck, but I think also not a big deal. Bolt the Murktide. I think we actually just... Oh, I can't dash Ragavan and cast Channeler. I don't have a quadruple red this turn. But I want to crew the Hearse. But I guess it's probably better to go dash Ragavan, cast Spyro, and then... just Hearse, activate Hearse one more time. I will also say, I mean, we probably can't lose this game no matter what, to be honest. Oh, okay. I mean, I always have a soft spot for Squadron Hawk. I will say, if you're playing Squadron Hawk in your 60 card deck, you should play 4 Solitude. That's definitely a nice synergy of Squadron Hawk Solitude. Although Ledger Shredder Squadron Hawk, you gotta love that. This is the second time in like 30 minutes though that I'm recommending that players do not play Reality Chip and their non-Stoneforge Mystic deck, and their non-Colossus or Sigarda's Aid Stoneforge Mystic decks, where Stoneforge Mystic getting Reality Chip, putting Chip into play for 2 mana, equipping for 3 is like really easy to play around, and usually just not a very good plan in my experience. It is similar to a sword, but I think like sword has like more immediate impact, where like a lot of times you have to have mana after you equip the chip, which is like a very mana intensive thing. It seems like maybe you just have too many. I also really don't like Lion Sash, and I say this, I guess, as someone who spoiled Lion Sash, and I was really happy that I got to have my first ever spoiler card, but unfortunately it ended up not being that constructed playable. Well, here's a new fun trick we found against Ledger Shredder is you can make it grow your Tourach. But yeah, but I don't think you should play the Lion Sash. It is nice that it's a white card for Solitude, but you should have 4 Solitude. But I think I would still recommend not playing it. I would probably cut the Ephemerates too. I think you're lacking on good cards to target for Ephemerate. That's probably how you find room for Solitude. Okay, opponent is playing 60 cards, no companion. I really want this league to be 5 out of 5 Murktide. No! Boring hammer time, huh? Probably taking the Paladin. Seems fine. Although probably a pretty good matchup. I like Sash and Chip with specifically Vile. They're already contentious. Yeah, with Vile, they do get some stock, but I still think they're kind of underpowered and just not the direction I would recommend going. Am I excited to put Voyager Staff in all my Saga decks? Dude, brutal. I guess not that big a deal. I don't know. Like the thing about Voyager Staff is it requires you to be playing an Urza Saga deck with like lots of creature ETBs. I don't feel like I've got very many of those in the old repertoire. But maybe there's a couple. They can cycle Blacksmith skill here, but if they do that, I'm okay with it. But they can target the Sentinel with the Blacksmith skill to draw a card. Holo Bullet, 2 months, appreciate you. Its ability doesn't require it to tap. Yeah, but you sacrifice it though, right? Voyager Staff and Urza. Oh man, that's awesome. No, yeah, that card seems awesome with Urza. Holo Boat, the 2 months, appreciate you. And then you also have maybe Ingenious Smith. I'll take a closer look at it, okay? I promise to look at it. Good evening from Germany. How are things in Germany at the moment? One of my favorite streamers is German, Dinos and Guile. Alright, quit being a Sentinel with a Shadow Spear. Guess I'm not cracking the Mire now. Just Urborg it. Could play it in Field Opener. Yeah. It's a cool card. What's Voyager Staff? Voyager Staff. Oh yeah, but the fact that it doesn't need to tap does that is relevant for Urza. Ooh, well, good top deck. Didn't even have to sack the clearing. Yeah, I like Dino a lot too. Dino's great. I watch it most mornings. Although there's a couple weeks recently where I wasn't able to because doing stuff around the house. Okay, so I brought something close to this. I usually cut all the Kroxas. I'm gonna cut the Hearse. Could potentially bring in 4th Tourach. Oh, Voidwalker is pretty bad in this matchup too. Yeah, so let me maybe go something like 5 discard spells. Some people will ask to bring in Chalice, but I have too many 1-mana spells to bring in Chalice, I think. Then we either play 2 Voidwalker, 1 Hearse, 1 Kroxa. I think 1 Kroxa, 1 Voidwalker. I probably cut Dauthi before Kroxa. I think you can play one of. I think that the first Kroxa is fine. Voidwalker is like really just 3/2 unblockable in a matchup where you're like not able to race them that often. You usually have to play the control game, so I usually don't like Voidwalker very much. It does race sometimes though. Yeah, you can maybe play second Kroxa over the first Voidwalker. I think 1/1, especially on the play, is fine. Let's keep this. There's the Voidwalker. We have 0 qualifiers for the tour thinger. Brutal. But it mulls a 6. Man, all I can do now is think about Voyager Staff. This is a 1-land hand. I think that this is kind of an easy Sentinel take. It's either Sentinel or Hammer, I suppose. But I think I just like I've got push for whatever they put the hammer on. Sentinel is a really annoying card against me. How are just Sky Lotus Field 4-color Murktide matchups? I would say pretty favorable against 4-color and like close, but ahead against Murktide in my experience. So Plains, Sigarda's Aid, second Plains. Oh well, that's a good one. It's sort of Fire and Ice, which I would not mind Voidwalking. We'll just do this turn. If they have drawn a land and they go land, Paladin, equip. You know, it's not great for me, but I can terminate. Although them hitting runner lands and them hitting land Stoneforge Mystic is actually kind of like perfects, right? They're not immediately drawing a card, which has got to be a mistake. And then what's great about this draw is I can go Alpine Moon, kill their Urza Saga, and they kind of have to respond with a hammer. And then I get to terminate the Paladin in response. I could also choose to play Voidwalker, and then stop them from drawing a card. I could choose to play Voidwalker, or sorry, Urza Saga with Voidwalker. But I don't think I want to. Yeah, Moon was nuts for sure. My opponent's hand is currently Sigarda's Aid, Colossus Hammer. So if they actually draw a 1 or 0 mana creature this turn, we could be in some trouble. Although if it's like an Esper Sentinel, we could block it with Tourach. And they concede. Alright, very swingy game so far. I think on the draw I'll play second Kroxa, but I could play 6 discard spell too. I think 6 is just so many against this matchup. Gonna try Asmo Food because watching play is so fun. Yeah, I love that deck. I love that deck. Fun to play, well positioned, good combo. Good luck to you with that. Opponent's kept 7. This hand has lands and spells, but I feel like it's a pretty bad combo of lands and spells, so I'm going to mulligan. Feel a bit better about this hand. Put back the Lily. Definitely hoping for no turn 1 Sentinel. Going to kind of miss that Ragavan if they have it. They have turn 1 Giver of Runes instead. And I think drawing a Lightning Bolt's pretty easy. Thought season turn 1, then we can go Bolt Bolt. Opponent's hand is Blacksmith Skill, Stoneforge Mystic, Sword of Fire and Ice, the Reality Chip with no blue mana, and Yawgmoth Nexus. Thank you, Stoneforge. Alt WinCon, thank you for 6 months. Appreciate you. Put together Mono Black Coffers, Bait and Switch deck. Yeah, I love that deck too. Okay, there's the blue mana. So they play the chip. We're going to play Shinka, bolt this, or actually I'm going to upkeep Bolt the Giver. I want them to Blacksmith Skill the Giver so that I can just right now trade Bolt for Blacksmith Skill. Redcon Bacon for the 3 months. Thank you. They're responding by giving the chip protection. Yeah, I love. Thank you so much to all the YouTube people who drop by and subscribe. I really do appreciate it. Thank you, Redcon. Thank you, Alt WinCons. Protection from green, an interesting choice. And they don't use the skill. No skill, huh? Their hand is Sophie, Blacksmith Skill, Yawgmoth Nexus, Mystery card. They play the Nexus. Close enough, sorry. Retcon Bravo team. Listen, it's tough. You gotta read the English language and decipher its syntax into sounds. Why protection from green? I think they realized the protection didn't matter that much. So we need to main phase terminate here to play around the Blacksmith Skill. Otherwise my opponent can, save it. And then if they have drawn a land, they go land, fire up Nexus, equip, I can bolt the Nexus. They drew Springleaf Drum. Their hand is currently Blacksmith Skill and a Mystery card. That's the Mystery card. Huh. So if I were to bolt there, they would just Blacksmith Skill. This Explosives is awkward. Yeah, I don't think I'm actually supposed to bolt in response there, since I can save the bolt for the Yawgmoth Nexus, which is good if they draw a land that they can't hit me with the Sword of Fire Ice. Grim Knight, thank you for the tier 1, appreciate you. I could also maybe Tourach the Blacksmith Skill if they brick on creatures. Their hand is currently getting now skill, Mystery card after Sophie, it go down to 9 life. If they're drawn any 2 mana creatures, they're not going to want to play them this turn. What did I say? Red Black's worst matchups. Grixis Shadow, Gen Saga. Gen Saga is the worst by a lot, I think. Huge punt by. Oh no, they have the Blacksmith skill. Right. Oh yeah, I was definitely sorry. I forgot that this gave indestructible. The huge pump by me. Huge pump by me. Tight matchups, I think, slightly favorable for Rakdos. Maybe I was supposed to do that in combat, actually. Yeah, another punt. I always fear that this gives indestructible too. Thank you, Grim Knight. Yeah, a lot of people really liking the Asmo food deck. I am too, of course. Yeah. So I don't know what the plan is anymore. I think the plan is probably just lose. I shouldn't sack the explosives now because all that results is me taking 2 more damage. I can't draw another explosives. I can't block this with the Tourach. Yeah, it's just dead. Just dead. Should have bolted in response. Forgot that this gave indestructible. I thought it was just hexproof +2/+2, which would already be pretty good. Weird League, played against Murktide 4 times, 8-2 between today and yesterday with Rakdos. Loving the deck at the moment. Very likely to play it in tomorrow's play-in events. Again, I'm going to need to spend some time tonight looking and seeing exactly what time the play-in events start. And then I think we're going to be playing some of those on stream, which are play you in for the 20th anniversary tournament. I'm also going to draw Liliana. No, they had Nexus. They had Nexus. I also am going.